The elevator doors opened on the wrong floor. I knew it immediately, not because of the number glowing above the button panel, but because of the smell. Copper and something acrid, like burnt sugar mixed with gunpowder. My fingers tightened around my grocery bags as I stepped forward, already pressing the button for the 23rd floor. Too late. A man stumbled backward into the elevator, his white shirt blooming red across the shoulder. His eyes were wide, pupils dilated with shock or drugs or both. Behind him, the penthouse hallway stretched in shadows and expensive lighting that made everything look like a film noir. "Close the doors," he gasped at me. "Close them, now." I hit the button. Nothing happened. Then I saw the second man. He filled the doorway like weather, tall, dark suit, dark hair, swept back from a face that could have been carved from the same marble as the lobby downstairs. But it was his eyes that stopped my breath. Cold, completely cold. The kind of cold that came from watching people break and not caring. He looked at the bleeding man, then at me. "You should have taken the stairs," he said. His voice was low, almost gentle. That made it worse somehow. The bleeding man lurched forward, grabbing my arm. I dropped one of my grocery bags. Apples rolled across the elevator floor, impossibly loud in the silence. "Please," the man wheezed. Blood flecked his lips. "He's going to kill me. You have to..." The man in the doorway moved. I didn't see him draw the gun. One moment his hands were empty. The next there was matte black metal catching the light. He pressed it against the bleeding man's temple with the casual efficiency of someone checking the time. "Let her go, Marcus." Marcus. So they knew each other. Marcus's fingers dug into my forearm hard enough to bruise. I could feel him shaking. "Dante, please. I can fix this. I can make it right. You stole from me." Dante's voice never rose above that same quiet register. "You knew the rules. I was going to pay it back." "You stole from me," Dante repeated, "and then you tried to run." The gun didn't waver. Neither did his gaze. But for just a second, less than a second, those cold eyes flicked to me. Assessing, calculating, making a decision. "Close your eyes," he said to me. I should have. God, I should have. But I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but stand there with apples at my feet and a dying man's hand on my arm. Dante's jaw tightened. "Close. Your eyes." This time it was an order. I closed them. The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space. My ears rang. Something wet and warm splashed across my cheek and neck. Marcus's grip went slack, and then there was the heavy sound of his body hitting the floor. I kept my eyes closed. Footsteps, expensive shoes on marble, then muffled on the elevator carpet. Coming closer. I could smell cologne now, something dark and woody, cutting through the copper sugar gunpowder smell. "Open them." I couldn't. "Bella, softer now. Open your eyes." I didn't know why I obeyed. Maybe because that soft tone was more terrifying than the cold one. Maybe because I knew if I kept them closed, I'd fall apart completely. I opened them. Marcus lay crumpled against the elevator wall. Very dead, very red. My second grocery bag had tipped over. Pasta boxes scattered across his legs like some grotesque still life. Dante stood in front of me, blocking most of the view. He'd holstered the gun. His hands were empty again, palms slightly raised like he was approaching a spooked animal. "Are you hurt?" I shook my head. Words wouldn't come. "You're in shock." He reached out slowly, deliberately, and touched my chin with 2 fingers. Tilted my face toward the light. "Blood, not yours. Good." His thumb brushed my cheekbone, wiping away evidence. I jerked back. Don't touch me. Someone has to." His hand dropped. "You can't go home like that. I'm calling the police." "No, you're not. You just murdered someone. I executed a thief." He said it like there was a difference. Maybe in his world there was. Marcus knew the consequences. He made his choice. That's not how the law... "The law?" Dante smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "The law doesn't apply on this floor, Bella. Surely you've noticed that." I had, actually. In the 6 months I'd lived in this building, I'd seen the penthouse elevator require a key card. I'd seen men in expensive suits coming and going at odd hours. I'd heard rumors from the doorman, quickly silenced. I'd just never cared enough to ask questions. "I need to go," I whispered. "Where?" "Home. My apartment. 23rd floor. Not tonight." The words hung in the air between us. Final. Immovable. "You don't get to decide that," I said. "I do, actually." He glanced at the body, then back at me. You witnessed a crime. That makes you a complication. I won't say anything. You will." He sounded almost regretful. "Eventually, someone will ask. A neighbor, a friend, the police. If Marcus's associates get curious, and you'll tell them because you're not built for this kind of secret." He was right. I knew he was right. The thought made me want to scream. "So what happens now?" My voice shook. "You kill me too?" "No." Dante stepped aside, revealing the penthouse entrance behind him. Warm light spilled from inside, honey gold against the dark hallway. "You stay with me tonight. We clean this up. And tomorrow, we discuss your options." "My options?" "How willing you are to forget what you saw." His eyes held mine. "How much your memory costs. I'm not taking money from you. Everyone takes money from me." He bent down, picked up one of my apples, examined it like it was something rare and strange. "Or they take protection. Or they take silence. But everyone takes something." He held the apple out to me. I didn't take it. "What's your name?" he asked. "Fuck you." His smile widened slightly. Still cold, but something else flickered beneath it. "Amusement, maybe. Or interest." "Mira Chen," he said. 23 years old, graphic designer. Moved here from Seattle 6 months ago. You pay rent on time. You keep to yourself, and you buy too many apples." My blood turned to ice. "How do you—" "I own the building." He set the apple on top of my remaining grocery bag. "I know everything about everyone here. It's good business." "That's insane. That's survival." He touched my elbow, gently steering me toward the penthouse. "Come." "You're shaking." I was. I hadn't noticed until he said it. "I dropped my keys," I said stupidly. "In the elevator." Dante glanced back at the carnage. "Leave them." "But I'll get you new ones." His hand pressed against the small of my back, warm through my thin sweater. "Right now, you're staying with me tonight." The door closed behind us with a whisper of expensive hinges. I didn't look back at Marcus. I didn't want to see him again, but I could still smell the blood. Dante's penthouse looked like something from an architecture magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Furniture that was probably worth more than my car. Art on the walls that might have been real abstract pieces in deep blues and blacks that matched the man standing beside me. He'd removed his jacket. Gun holster dark against his white shirt. "Bathrooms through there." He pointed down a hallway. "Clean yourself up. There are clothes in the guest room, second door." I didn't move. He sighed. "You're safe here, Mira. You killed a man 20 feet from where we're standing. I killed a traitor." He walked to a bar cart, poured 2 fingers of something amber into a crystal tumbler. "There's a difference." "Not to me. Then you've lived a very sheltered life." He took a drink, watching me over the rim of the glass. "How long have you been in New York? You said you already know everything about me." "I know facts." "I don't know you." "Why does that matter?" "Because," he paused, set down the glass with careful precision. "Because you're standing in my home with Marcus's blood on your face, and you haven't screamed or cried or fainted. That's unusual. Maybe I'm in shock." "You are. But you're also angry." He tilted his head slightly. "At me? At yourself for being on that elevator?" "Both." "Good. Anger is useful." I finally moved, but only to lean against the back of his pristine white sofa. My legs felt disconnected from my body. What happens to people who see things they shouldn't? In my world? Yes. Depends on the person. He poured a second drink, walked it over to me. Some disappear. Some become assets. Some very rarely become something else. What's something else? Protected. I took the drink, didn't sip it. "Why would you protect me?" "I haven't decided yet if I will." The honesty was almost refreshing. Almost. "Then why am I here?" I asked. "Because killing you would be wasteful." He said it like he was discussing a business decision. "You're young, talented, no family in the city. Your death would raise questions. An extended stay in my guest room raises none. So I'm a prisoner. You're a guest." His eyes held mine. "With limited exit privileges." "For how long?" "Until I'm certain you won't become a problem." I set the drink down without tasting it. "I need to call someone. My boss. My friend Jade. She'll worry." "Your phone." I stared at him. "Give it to me," Dante said, not unkindly. "Please." "No." "Mira, you don't get to ask nicely after murdering someone in front of me." The words came out harder than I'd intended. Louder. "You don't get to play civilized now." Something flickered across his face. There and gone too quickly to name. You're right. He set his own glass down. I don't, but I still need your phone. And if I refuse, then I'll take it. The threat hung between us. He didn't move closer, didn't change his tone, didn't need to. I pulled my phone from my pocket, handed it over. His fingers brushed mine during the exchange. Warm, solid, strangely careful. Thank you, he said. What are you going to do with it? Make sure no one tracks you here. He slipped it into his pocket. You'll get it back. Modified. Modified how? So I can monitor who you talk to. That's illegal. His smile was razor thin. Yes, I wanted to hit him. Wanted to scream. Wanted to run for the door and take my chances with whatever waited outside. But I was smart enough to know all three options ended badly. So I just stood there, shaking with useless rage. The bathroom, Dante said quietly. Please, you'll feel better once you're clean. The guest bathroom was larger than my entire apartment's bathroom. Marble everywhere, heated floors, a shower that could fit 4 people. I locked the door, stripped off my sweater and tank top, both ruined. Blood had soaked through to my bra. In the mirror, I looked like an extra from a horror movie. Marcus's blood covered the right side of my face, my neck, my collarbone. Drying now, flaking at the edges. I touched my cheek and my fingers came away rust red. The shaking got worse. I turned on the shower as hot as it would go, stood under the spray until my skin turned pink, scrubbed until the water ran clear, used someone's expensive soap that smelled like cedar and rain. When I finally emerged, wrapped in a towel that probably cost more than my rent, I found clothes folded on the counter. A men's t-shirt, sweatpants with a drawstring waist. His clothes. I put them on anyway. I didn't have a choice. The t-shirt fell to mid-thigh. It smelled like his cologne, that same dark, woody scent. I hated how safe it made me feel. When I came out, Dante was on the phone, speaking rapid Italian, voice low and controlled. He saw me and held up one finger. Wait. I watched him from the hallway. He'd changed too. Different shirt, this one, black. Hair still damp at the edges like he'd washed his hands and face. The gun was gone from his holster, but I knew it was somewhere close. Men like him were never unarmed. He finished the call, looked at me. Better? No. Honest, at least. He gestured to the dining table. Hungry? I'm not eating with you. You will be eventually. He moved to the kitchen, sleek, modern, probably never used. Your body needs fuel. The shock will hit harder if you don't eat. Stop acting like you care. I don't. He pulled containers from the refrigerator. But I need you functional. For what? I haven't decided yet. That phrase again. Like I was a problem he was still calculating. A variable in an equation I couldn't see. I sat at the table. Not because he told me to. Because my legs wouldn't hold me much longer. Dante returned with food. Real food, pasta, bread, some kind of salad that looked professionally made. He set a plate in front of me. Where did Marcus get the money? I asked. He paused. What? You said he stole from you. Where did he get it? That's not your concern. Everything about tonight is my concern. I met his eyes. You made it my concern when you pulled that trigger. Dante sat down across from me. Studied me like I was something unexpected. He was my accountant, he said finally. He skimmed from 3 different accounts over 6 months. Small amounts. He thought I wouldn't notice, but you did. I notice everything. So you killed him. So I made an example. He took a piece of bread, didn't eat it, just held it. In my world, mercy is expensive. It costs more than money. It costs reputation, control, fear. That's not a world. That's a nightmare. It's my nightmare. His voice went soft again. Dangerous soft. And now, temporarily, it's yours. The food sat between us, untouched. Outside the windows, the city glittered like scattered diamonds. I wondered if anyone down there knew what happened on the 45th floor tonight. I wondered if anyone would care. I woke up in sheets that cost more than my monthly grocery budget. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then I remembered. The elevator, the blood, the gun. Those cold eyes watching me like I was a problem that needed solving. Dante's penthouse. Dante's guest room. Dante's prisoner. The room was still dark. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city was just beginning to lighten that strange pre-dawn blue that made everything look underwater. I found my phone on the nightstand. Except it wasn't my phone. Same model, same case. But when I unlocked it, there was a message waiting. Your real phone is being cleaned. This one is secure. Don't try to remove the monitoring software. D. I threw it across the room. It hit the wall with a satisfying crack. The screen spiderwebbed but kept glowing. The door opened. Dante stood there in dark pants and a white undershirt, barefoot. His hair was mussed like he'd been sleeping. Or trying to. Feeling destructive? He asked. Feeling trapped. Those are the same thing, usually. He walked over, picked up the damaged phone, examined it with the same careful attention he'd given my apple. I can get you another one. I don't want another one. I want my life back. Your life is still there. He set the phone on the dresser. Just temporarily relocated. For how long? Still deciding. Stop saying that. Stop asking questions I don't have answers to. We stared at each other in the dim light. He looked different without the expensive suit. Younger, more human. It made him more frightening somehow because humans could be reasoned with, and I was starting to understand Dante couldn't. I need to go to work today, I said. Call in sick. I can't. I have a presentation. Mira. He moved closer. Not threatening, just present, taking up space. You witnessed a murder last night. You're covered in invisible bloodstains that only you can see. You're not going to work. You don't get to decide. I do. His voice was quiet. Final. For now, I do. Something in me snapped. I lunged at him, not thinking, just acting. Fists hitting his chest, his shoulders. He was solid as a wall, didn't even step back. Just let me hit him until my hands hurt and tears were streaming down my face, and I was making sounds I didn't recognize. Then his arms came around me, not restraining, just holding. Breathe, he said against my hair. I hate you. I know. I want to leave. I know. Why won't you let me go? His chest rose and fell against my cheek. Because the people Marcus worked with will be looking for answers. And you're a very obvious answer. I pulled back, looked up at him. What people? Rival family. Russians. His jaw tightened. They've been trying to expand into my territory for months. Marcus was supposed to be feeding them information, not money. When I found out, I moved up the timeline. Timeline for what? His execution. Said so simply. Like we were discussing the weather. I shoved him away. Put distance between us. So I'm not just a witness. I'm a target, potentially. Jesus Christ. They don't know about you yet. He ran a hand through his hair. The elevator security footage is already gone. Your name isn't on any lists. But if they start investigating Marcus's last movements, if they find someone who saw something, they'll come for me. Yes, the word hung between us. Truth, cold and sharp. How long? I asked. Until they stop looking? Could be weeks. Could be months. He leaned against the dresser. Depends on how badly they want answers. So I'm supposed to just hide here, for now. That's insane. That's survival. He looked at me. Really looked. Like he was seeing past the fear and anger to something underneath. You think I want this? A civilian in my home? A complication I didn't plan for? Then let me go. I can't. For the first time, he sounded tired. If something happened to you because I made the wrong call, that would be worse. Worse for who? He didn't answer. The silence stretched. Outside, the sun was starting to rise properly now. Gold spilling across the city. I need coffee, I said finally. Kitchen. I don't know where anything is. I'll show you. The kitchen was pristine. Professional-grade appliances that gleamed like they'd never been touched. Dante moved through it with surprising ease, pulling down a French press, measuring coffee beans. You cook? I asked. Sometimes. He poured hot water over the grounds. When I need to think, what are you thinking about now? How to keep you alive. Comforting. It should be. He looked at me. Most people in your situation would already be dead. Is that supposed to make me grateful? It's supposed to make you smart. He pushed a mug across the counter. I'm giving you protection you didn't ask for and don't deserve. The least you can do is not fight me on every decision. I didn't ask for any of this. No. You just got on the wrong elevator at the wrong time. He took a drink of his coffee. Bad luck. That's all this is to you? Bad luck? What else would it be? I wanted to scream again. Wanted to throw the coffee in his face and run. But I was starting to understand the shape of my cage. The boundaries. Why do you keep calling me Bella? I asked instead. He blinked. Like the question surprised him. It means beautiful, he said. I know what it means. I'm asking why. Because you are. The simplicity of it stunned me into silence. Even covered in blood, he continued. Even terrified. You didn't look away. Most people look away. That's not beautiful. That's traumatized. Maybe. He set down his mug. Or maybe it's strong. I'm not strong. I'm trapped. You're both. He moved around the counter, stopped just close enough that I could feel the heat of him. And you're here, in my home, drinking my coffee. That takes a certain kind of courage. Or stupidity. Those are the same thing sometimes. We were standing too close. I could see flecks of gold in his dark eyes, could count the hours of stubble on his jaw, could smell cedar and coffee and something else, something that was just him. I stepped back. I need air. Balconies through there. He pointed. Don't try to climb down. It's 45 floors. I wasn't going to. Yes, you were. He was right. Again. The balcony was cold. October wind cutting through Dante's borrowed t-shirt. I wrapped my arms around myself and stared at the city waking up below. People going to work, living normal lives, not being held hostage by a mafia boss who killed people in elevators. Behind me, I heard the door slide open. Dante joined me at the railing. Held out a blanket. I took it, wrapped it around my shoulders. Thank you, I said quietly. You're welcome. We stood there in silence as the sun continued its rise, and for just a moment, I almost forgot to be afraid. 3 days. I'd been in Dante's penthouse for 3 days, and I was starting to lose my mind. The space was beautiful, objectively, undeniably beautiful, but it was still a cage. I'd explored every room, read half the books in his library, watched the city through windows I couldn't open. Dante came and went at odd hours, always dressed in those perfect suits, always with that careful control. We circled each other like wary animals. He'd given me a laptop. Monitored, he'd said, but functional. I'd managed to send careful messages to my boss, family emergency. And Jade, visiting my mom, terrible cell service. Each lie felt like swallowing glass. Now it was late afternoon, and I was pacing the living room for the 100th time. The elevator chimed. I froze. Dante emerged, but he wasn't alone. 2 men flanked him, one massive and scarred, the other lean and cold-eyed. They were talking in rapid Italian, voices low and urgent. They stopped when they saw me. Mira. Dante's voice carried a warning. Guest room. Now. Why? Now. I'd learned to recognize that tone. I went, but I didn't close the door completely. Left it cracked just enough to hear. Russians are pushing harder, the scarred man was saying. 3 of our street operations hit in the last 24 hours. Any casualties? Dante asked. 2 dead. 5 injured. Silence. Then, names. The lean man rattled off a list. I recognized none of them, but I heard the weight in Dante's silence after each one. They're escalating, the scarred man continued. Marcus's death was supposed to send a message. Instead, it's made them bolder, because they think we're vulnerable. This from the lean man. They think, I know what they think. Dante's voice had gone very quiet. They think Marcus had information worth dying for. They think there's a crack in our foundation. Is there? Pause. Yes, Dante said finally, but not the crack they're looking for. I pressed closer to the door. What do you want us to do? The scarred man asked. Double security on all our holdings. I want eyes on every Russian operation in the city. And find out who Marcus was reporting to. Not the organization, the actual contact. That could take weeks, then start now. Footsteps. They were moving toward the door. I closed the gap quickly, quietly, sat on the bed and tried to look like I'd been there the whole time. The elevator chimed again. Voices faded. Then Dante was at my door. You heard, he said. Not a question. Some of it. How much? I looked at him. Really looked. He'd loosened his tie, undone the top button of his shirt. There were shadows under his eyes. Enough to know things are getting worse, I said. He leaned against the doorframe. They were always going to get worse. That's how these things work. Action, reaction, escalation. Until what? Until someone wins. He studied me. Or everyone loses. Which one do you think will happen? I think, he paused. I think I should have killed Marcus somewhere else. The admission surprised me. But you didn't, I said. No. I wanted him to die in my building. Wanted his body found in my territory. He rubbed his face. I wanted to make a point. And now the point is costing more than I anticipated. His eyes met mine. Including your freedom. Are you apologizing? I don't apologize. But his voice was softer. I'm explaining. Those aren't the same thing. In my world, they're as close as it gets. I stood up, walked to the window. The city stretched below, indifferent to the small wars being fought in its shadows. The men who were here, I said. Who were they? Marco and Luca, my most trusted. They didn't look happy about me. They're not. Dante joined me at the window. You're a variable. Variables are dangerous. Then why keep me? He was quiet for a long moment. Because killing you would be easy, he said finally. And I'm tired of easy choices. That night, I couldn't sleep. The bed was too soft. The silence too thick. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Marcus falling, heard the gunshot echoing. Around 2 a.m., I gave up. Wrapped the blanket around myself and wandered out to the living room. Dante was there. He sat in one of the leather chairs facing the windows, glass of whiskey in hand, staring at the city. He'd changed into casual clothes, dark jeans, dark shirt, no shoes. His feet were bare on the expensive rug. Can't sleep either? I asked. I don't sleep much. He didn't turn around. Occupational hazard. Because of enemies? Because of ghosts. I moved closer, sat on the sofa near his chair. What kind of ghosts? The usual kind. Dead men. Bad decisions. Roads not taken. He took a drink. You don't get to where I am without accumulating ghosts. Where are you? The top. Said without pride. Or close enough. Is it worth it? He finally looked at me. Ask me when you've lived my life. I'd rather not. Smart. He turned back to the window. You should go back to bed. I can't. Try harder. But he didn't actually tell me to leave. So I stayed. We sat in silence for a while. The city glittered below us. Somewhere out there, people were dying, loving, betraying. The usual human chaos. What were you doing before the elevator? Dante asked suddenly. What? Before everything changed. What were you doing? Grocery shopping. It felt like a lifetime ago. I was going to make pasta, watch a movie, go to sleep. Simple life. It was my life. Do you miss it? I considered. Yes. But I think I was lonely. He looked at me again. Something shifted in his expression. You're still lonely, he said quietly. Just trapped now too. Are you lonely? The question hung between us. Always, he said. The next morning, I woke to find new clothes in the guest room. Not his clothes this time, women's clothes. Jeans that fit, soft sweaters, underwear that was the right size. A note sat on top of the pile. You can't keep wearing my shirts. They look better on me. D. I almost smiled. In the kitchen, Dante was making breakfast. Actual breakfast, eggs, toast, coffee. He moved with the same efficient grace he brought to everything. You bought me clothes, I said. Marco bought you clothes. He plated the eggs. I gave him your sizes. How did you know my sizes? I pay attention. That's creepy. That's thorough. He set a plate in front of me. Eat. I ate. It was good. Too good. I didn't want to admit it was good. Thank you, I said. For breakfast? For not treating me like a complete prisoner. He sat down across from me. Give it time. But there was something in his voice. Something that wasn't quite joking. Dante, I said carefully. What happens when this is over? When what's over? The danger. The Russians. All of it. He was quiet for a long time. I don't know, he said finally. For once, I believed him. By the end of the week, I'd established a routine. Mornings, I worked on my laptop, actual work, design projects I'd been putting off. Dante had made good on his promise to keep my job intact. How? I didn't ask. Afternoons, I read. His library was extensive. First editions, rare volumes, books in 6 different languages. I'd found a collection of Italian poetry that I couldn't understand but found beautiful anyway. Evenings were the hardest. That's when Dante was home. When we'd eat dinner together in loaded silence. When I'd catch him watching me with those calculating eyes. When I'd remember I was here because he'd killed a man. Tonight, he'd brought food from somewhere expensive. The containers alone probably cost more than my usual takeout. You don't have to do this, I said. Do what? Feed me like I'm a guest. We both know what I am. He set down his fork. What are you? A complication you're managing. Is that what you think? That's what you said, a week ago. He leaned back in his chair. Things change. Things? Or your assessment of me? Both. The admission caught me off guard. You're less of a complication than I expected, he continued. You don't cry. You don't beg. You don't try to manipulate me. Would manipulation work? No, but you could try. What would be the point? Exactly. He almost smiled. You understand the situation. You're adapting. That's rare. Is that why you're keeping me alive? Because I'm adapting well? I'm keeping you alive because... He stopped. Because it's the right call. For who? For both of us. I pushed my food around the plate. The Russians. Are they getting closer? Why do you ask? Because you've been tense all day. You're drinking more. And Marco was here twice today instead of once. Dante's eyes narrowed. You're observant. I'm trapped in a penthouse with nothing to do but observe. Fair point. He poured himself more wine. They hit one of our warehouses last night. Burned it to the ground. Anyone hurt? 3 dead. All theirs. He said it without inflection. They're testing our response time, seeing where we're weak. Are you weak? No. He met my eyes. But they think I am. Because of Marcus. Because I haven't retaliated publicly. Why haven't you? Because public retaliation is expensive. It draws attention from people I'd rather avoid. He took a drink. Police, FBI, rival families. Everyone smells blood in the water. So what do? I wait. I watch. And when they make a real mistake, I end this. The certainty in his voice made me shiver. What kind of mistake? I asked. The kind where they forget I'm patient. He set down his glass. Everyone assumes violence has to be immediate. But the best violence is calculated. You're talking about killing people like it's chess. It is chess. He looked at me. And you're a piece on the board now. Whether you like it or not. Later, I found him on the balcony. The temperature had dropped. October sliding into November. He stood at the railing in just his shirt. No jacket, like the cold didn't touch him. You'll freeze, I said. I've been colder. I joined him anyway. Pulled the blanket tighter around my shoulders. Where? I asked. What? Where have you been colder? He glanced at me. Russia, actually. Years ago. Before I took over the family business. What were you doing in Russia? Learning. He turned back to the city. My father believed in sending his sons to learn from our enemies, understand their culture, their methods. That's either brilliant or insane. Both. He smiled slightly. I was 22, arrogant, thought I understood power because I'd grown up around it. What changed? I watched a man freeze to death because he insulted the wrong person, said quietly. They stripped him, tied him to a post in the snow, made everyone watch. He lasted 6 hours. I didn't know what to say to that. I learned 2 things that day, Dante continued. 1. Power isn't about what you do. It's about what you're willing to watch. 2. Mercy is more frightening than violence. Because it's unexpected? Because it means you're in control. He looked at me. Anyone can kill. But choosing not to kill. Even when you have every reason, that's real power. Is that why you haven't killed me? The question came out before I could stop it. Dante's expression shifted. Something unguarded flickered across his face. No, he said softly. That's not why. Then why? He was quiet for a long moment. Because you make me remember what it's like to be human, he said finally. The words hit me like a physical thing. I'm not, I started. That's not, you are. He moved closer. Just a step. You're terrified of me. But you still ask questions. You hate being here. But you adapt. You saw me kill a man. And you're standing on my balcony in the middle of the night talking to me about Russia. That doesn't make me special. It makes you different. His hand came up, almost touched my face, then dropped. Everyone else in my life either fears me or uses me. You do neither. I definitely fear you, but not enough to stop seeing me as a person. He smiled, but it was sad. That's a gift, even if you don't mean it to be. I couldn't sleep again that night, but this time, it wasn't because of fear. I kept thinking about what he'd said, about being human, about the cold in Russia, and the man who died, and the 22-year-old boy who watched it happen, about how many deaths had he witnessed since then, about how many had he caused. Around 3 a.m., I heard footsteps in the hallway. Dante appeared in my doorway. You're awake. So are you. I told you. I don't sleep. Ever? A few hours, never peacefully. He leaned against the frame. Are you afraid? Of what? Everything. The Russians. Me. This situation. I thought about lying. but he'd see through it. Yes, I said. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Is that supposed to be comforting? It's supposed to be honest. He was quiet for a moment. I'm afraid too. The admission shocked me. Of what? I asked. That I've miscalculated. He looked at me. Really looked. That keeping you here was selfish, not strategic. Was it? I don't know yet. What happens if it was? Then I've put you in more danger than if I'd just let you go. His jaw tightened. And that would be unforgivable. Why do you care if it's forgivable? He didn't answer, just looked at me with those dark eyes. And I saw at the crack in his armor. The part of him that was still that 22-year-old boy watching someone die in the snow and learning that power costs something essential. Go to sleep, Mira, he said softly. I can't. Try. But he didn't leave. Just stood there in the doorway like a dark guardian. And eventually, with him standing watch, I did fall asleep. The explosion happened at dawn. I jerked awake to the sound of shattering glass and Dante shouting orders in Italian. By the time I stumbled out of the guest room, the penthouse was full of smoke and men with guns. Marco grabbed my arm. Back. Now. What's happening? Back. He shoved me into the hallway bathroom, closed the door. I heard locks engaging, then nothing but muffled shouts and running footsteps. I sat on the floor, heart hammering, and waited. It felt like hours. Was probably minutes. The door opened. Dante stood there, soot on his face, tie gone, shirt torn at the shoulder. There was blood on his hands. Are you hurt? He asked. I shook my head. Good. He pulled me up. We're leaving. Leaving where? The building. Now. He moved fast, hand on my elbow, practically dragging me through the smoke-filled penthouse. I caught glimpses of destruction, windows blown out, furniture overturned, scorch marks on the walls. At the elevator, Marco and Luca waited. Both armed, both scanning the hallway, like they expected more attacks. Is it clear? Dante asked. For now, Luca said. But they'll have watchers outside. Then we go through the garage. The elevator ride down was silent, except for the sound of our breathing. I was shaking so hard my teeth chattered. Dante's hand stayed on my elbow, steady and warm. In the parking garage, a black SUV waited, engine running, driver already in place. Get in, Dante said. I got in. He slid in beside me. Marco took the front passenger seat. Luca disappeared into a second vehicle behind us. We drove. I didn't ask where. Didn't matter. I just watched the city blur past and tried to process what had happened. They bombed your penthouse, I said finally. Our penthouse, Dante corrected. You live there too. Lived there. Why? Because they're escalating faster than I expected. His jaw was tight. And because someone told them you were there. My blood went cold. How would they know that? That's what I'm going to find out. We drove for another 20 minutes. Out of Manhattan, through the tunnel, into New Jersey. The buildings got shorter, the streets wider. Finally, we pulled up to a house. Not a mansion, a normal house in a normal neighborhood. Brick, 2 stories, a yard. Where are we? I asked. Somewhere safe. Dante got out, held the door for me. One of my properties, not connected to my name. Inside, the house was furnished, but impersonal. Like a hotel room that had forgotten it was supposed to have character. Marco and Luca swept the space. Checked windows, locked doors. All clear, Marco reported. Good. Dante turned to me. Upstairs, 2nd bedroom. I'm not going anywhere until you explain what just happened. He looked at me. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. They tried to kill you, he said flatly. They bombed the penthouse because they found out you were there. They want to know what you saw, and they want you dead before you can tell anyone. But I haven't told anyone. It doesn't matter. He moved closer. You're a loose end. Loose ends get cut. So what do? We don't do anything. You stay here, under protection, until I fix this. Fix it how? By ending the threat. The way he said it made my stomach drop. You're going to kill them, I said. All of them. No hesitation. Every Russian who touched my territory, my home, my... He stopped. Yes, I'm going to kill them. Upstairs, I paced the small bedroom. It had a view of the street. Normal cars, normal houses, normal lives. People who didn't know that 2 blocks away, a Mafia boss was planning a massacre. Someone knocked. Come in, I said. Luca entered, carrying a bag. Clothes, food, toiletries. He set it on the bed. You'll be here at least a few days. A few days? Until Dante handles the situation. You mean until he starts a war? Luca's expression didn't change. It was already a war. He's just ending it. He left before I could respond. That night, Dante knocked on my door. Can't sleep? He asked. Does anyone sleep in your world? Not when things are moving fast. He came in uninvited, sat on the edge of the bed. He'd changed clothes, showered, but the tension hadn't left his shoulders. Tell me the truth, I said. How bad is this? Bad. Dante. They have a mole. He looked at me. Someone in my organization told them about you. Gave them your location. That's worse than the bombing. Why? Because I can rebuild a penthouse. I can't rebuild trust. His hands flexed, and without trust, everything falls apart. Do you know who it is? I have suspicions. What happens when you confirm them? He didn't answer. Didn't need to. I'm sorry, I said. For what? For being the complication that started all this. You didn't start anything. He stood up, moved to the window. This was coming regardless. You just accelerated the timeline. Is that better or worse? I don't know yet. We were quiet for a moment. Can I ask you something? I said. Yes. Do you ever regret it? This life? He turned to look at me. In the dim light from the street, his face was all shadows and sharp edges. Every day, he said softly. Then why not leave? Because I'm good at it. He came closer. Because walking away would create a power vacuum that would kill hundreds. Because I have responsibilities to people who depend on me. That's not a life. That's a prison. Welcome to the club. But there was no humor in it. I stood up. We were close now. Close enough that I could see the scar above his left eyebrow. Close enough to smell cedar and smoke. What if I asked you to let me go? I said. Right now. What if I just walked out? You'd be dead within the hour. You don't know that. I do. His hand came up. This time, he did touch my face. Just fingertips against my cheek. They're watching this house. Watching all my properties. The only reason you're alive is because you're with me. So I'm bait. So you're protected. His thumb brushed my jaw. There's a difference. Not from where I'm standing. Then trust me. Why should I? Because... He paused. Something shifted in his expression. Because I've kept you alive this long. Because I gave you my clothes and my space and my time. Because I could have let you die in that elevator. And I didn't. That's not enough. It's all I have. His hand was still on my face. Warm. Steady. I should have pulled away. I didn't. This is insane, I whispered. Yes. I should hate you. You do. I should be terrified. You are. Then why? He kissed me. Not rough. Not demanding. Just soft. Inevitable. Like we'd been falling toward this moment since the elevator doors opened. I kissed him back. And the world narrowed to just us. His mouth on mine. His hands in my hair. My fingers gripping his shirt like I was drowning and he was air. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. That was a mistake, I said. Probably. We can't. I know. But neither of us moved away. I woke up alone. The bed beside me was cold, but his scent lingered on the pillow. Cedar and smoke and something darker. We hadn't had sex. We just kissed until my lips were swollen, until the fear and adrenaline had burned down to something quieter. Then he'd held me while I fell asleep. His heartbeat steady against my back. Now he was gone. Downstairs, I found Marco in the kitchen making coffee. Where is he? I asked. Handling business. What kind of business? Marco's eyes flicked to me. The kind you don't ask about. I'm asking anyway. He poured 2 cups of coffee, slid one across the counter to me. He's meeting with his lieutenants, planning the response to yesterday's attack. He took a drink, and investigating the leak. Has he found who it is? He has suspicions. That's what he said last night. Then nothing's changed. But Marco's expression suggested otherwise. You don't like me, I said. No. The honesty was almost refreshing. Why? I asked. Because you're a distraction, and distractions get people killed. I didn't ask for any of this. Doesn't matter. He set down his cup. You're here now. In his head, making him soft. Soft? He should have moved you to a safe house 3 states away. Instead, you're 10 minutes from his main operations. Close enough that he can check on you. Close enough that you're still a target. That's not my fault. Isn't it? Marco's eyes were hard. You could have fought harder to leave. Could have made yourself difficult enough that keeping you wasn't worth it. He would have killed me. Maybe. Or maybe you liked being kept. The words hit like a slap. That's not, I started. You kissed him last night. Not a question. I saw it through the window. My face burned. So now you're what? Marco continued. His prisoner? His pet? His girlfriend? I don't know what I am. Then figure it out, before you get him killed. He left the kitchen. I stood there, coffee cooling in my hands, trying not to shake. Dante came back around noon. He looked exhausted. Tie loose, shadows under his eyes, jaw tight with tension. How bad? I asked. Bad enough. He poured himself a drink. Whiskey, not coffee. The leak is confirmed. One of my senior people. Someone I've trusted for years. Who? Paolo Ricci. My weapons supplier. He took a drink. He's been feeding information to the Russians for 6 months, including your presence in the penthouse. What are you going to do? What I have to. He wouldn't look at me. Dante. Not now, Mira. You can't just... I can. Finally, he looked at me. And I will. Tonight. The finality in his voice made my stomach drop. Let me come with you, I said. No. Why not? Because you've seen enough violence. I saw you kill Marcus. This will be worse. He set down his glass. Paolo has a family. A wife. 2 kids. They'll be there when we handle this. Then don't do it in front of them. I have to. His voice was flat. I have to send a message. Betrayal has consequences. Always. Even for children? I won't hurt the children, but they'll remember. They'll know what their father did and what it cost. He rubbed his face. That's the point. I felt sick. This is who you are, I said quietly. This is the man I kissed last night. Yes. I can't. I stopped. I don't know how to reconcile that. You don't have to. He moved toward the door. You just have to stay alive long enough for me to fix this. And then what? He paused. Looked back at me. Then you go home, he said. Back to your life. Like none of this happened. That's not possible. Make it possible. Something cracked in his voice. Because I can't give you anything else. He left. Marco found me on the back porch. He told you, he said. About Paolo? Yes. And you're upset. Wouldn't you be? Marco sat down beside me. I've been doing this since I was 16. My father worked for Dante's father. I grew up in this world. That must have been hard. It was normal. He looked at the yard. But I understand. For you this is all new, all shocking. Does it ever stop being shocking? No. You just get better at hiding it. We sat in silence for a moment. He cares about you, Marco said finally. More than he should. That's not comfort. It's not supposed to be. It's a warning. He turned to me. Men like Dante don't love safely. They love dangerously, obsessively. And when it ends, because it always ends, people die. Are you saying he loves me? I'm saying he's heading that direction. Marco's expression was grave. And if you care about him at all, you'll walk away before he gets there. That night, I waited. Hours passed. The house got dark. Marco and Luca came and went, speaking in low voices. Finally, around midnight, I heard the SUV return. Dante came in alone. He looked like he'd aged 10 years. Blood on his shirt cuffs, hands shaking slightly as he poured himself another drink. I went to him. Don't, he said without turning around. Dante. I said don't. But I did anyway. Wrapped my arms around him from behind. Pressed my face against his back. He went rigid. I killed a man in front of his children tonight, he said. I put a bullet in his head while they screamed. And I felt nothing. Nothing at all. You felt something. That's why you're shaking. I'm not. I held up his hand. It trembled in mine. You felt it, I said quietly. You just can't admit it. He pulled away. Turned to face me. His eyes were bright with something that might have been tears or rage or both. Why are you here? He asked. Why are you standing in front of me after I told you what I did? Because you came back. That's not enough. Because you're shaking. I moved closer. Because somewhere under all this violence and control, there's still a person. Still. The boy who watched someone die in Russia and learned that power costs something. That boy is dead. No, he's not. He's just buried. Dante stared at me. Then, without warning, he grabbed me, pulled me against him, kissed me with desperate, furious intensity. I kissed him back. Because Marco was right, this was dangerous. This was obsessive. This was going to end badly. But I couldn't walk away. Not yet. Later, in the dark, with his arm around me and his breath against my neck, he spoke. I'm going to end the Russians tomorrow night, he said. One decisive strike. Their leadership, their operations, all of it. Will that end it? Yes. And then you go home. I turned in his arms. What if I don't want to? His expression was anguished. Then I'll make you, he whispered. Because it's safer? Because I can't give you a life. Only survival. Maybe survival is enough. It's not. He kissed my forehead. Trust me, it's never enough. The attack came at dawn. Not at the house, they were smarter than that. They came for Dante's operations across the city. Coordinated strikes at warehouses, clubs, financial holdings. A systematic dismantling of everything he'd built. I woke to him shouting into his phone. How many? A pause. Jesus Christ. I got up. Found him in the kitchen, surrounded by Marco, Luca, and 3 other men I didn't recognize. Maps spread across the table. Red marks everywhere. 8 locations hit simultaneously, Marco was saying. 4 of our people dead, 12 injured. They knew exactly where to strike. Paolo gave them more than we thought, Luca added. Complete operational maps. Every holding, every account, every weak point. Dante's face was carved from stone. Casualties? Civilian? Marco checked his phone. Minimal. They're being careful. Smart. Because they don't want police attention. Dante's hands flexed. They want a clean takeover. So what do we do? Dante looked at the maps. At the red marks. At the destruction of his empire. We burn it down, he said quietly. All of it. Everything they want. The room went silent. You're serious, Marco said. Completely. Dante straightened. If they want my territory, they can have ashes. By the time I rebuild, they'll be dead. That's insane. That strategy. He pointed at the map. We evacuate our people, move all liquid assets offshore, and then we destroy every physical holding before they can claim it. That'll cost millions. I have millions. His voice was ice. What I don't have is time. They're moving faster than I expected, so we move faster. What about her? Luca gestured at me. Every eye in the room turned. She stays here, Dante said. Under guard. They know about this house, Marco said. Paolo gave them everything, remember? Then we move her. Where? Everywhere else is compromised. Silence. Dante looked at me. Something shifted in his expression. Then she comes with me, he said. What? Marco's voice rose. You're going into active combat zones. She stays close, where I can see her. He met my eyes. I'm not losing her because I put her somewhere safe. This is emotional thinking. This is practical. Dante's voice dropped to that dangerous quiet. The only way to guarantee her safety is to keep her in my sight. End of discussion. They gave me body armor. Heavy, uncomfortable, Velcro straps that made it hard to breathe. Marco showed me how to put it on, his movements efficient and cold. If shooting starts, you drop, he said. Flat on the ground, hands over your head. Don't run. Don't try to help. Just drop. Okay, I'm serious. You run, you die. I said okay. He studied me. You're calmer than I expected. I'm terrified, but you're not crying, not begging to stay behind. Something like respect flickered in his eyes. Maybe you're stronger than I thought, or stupider. Those are the same thing in this world. We moved through the city like ghosts. 3 SUVs, armed men in each. Dante beside me in the middle vehicle, hand on my knee, steady pressure. First stop is the warehouse, he said. We empty the merchandise, then burn it. What kind of merchandise? The kind you don't ask about. We drove. The warehouse was in Red Hook, industrial area, no civilians. When we arrived, there were already men working, loading trucks, moving boxes, working with frantic efficiency. Dante got out. I followed. Stay close, he said. I did. Inside the warehouse, I saw what they were emptying. Weapons. Crates and crates of guns, ammunition, military-grade equipment. More firepower than I'd ever seen outside of movies. Jesus, I whispered. This is a small operation, Dante said. Wait until you see the others. This is insane. This is Tuesday. He moved through the space like he owned it because he did. Men deferred to him, waited for orders, worked harder when he watched. Even in the middle of losing everything, he radiated control. It was terrifying. It was also, somehow, beautiful. When the last truck pulled away, Dante nodded to Luca. Luca pulled out a device, pressed a button. The warehouse exploded. I stumbled back, but Dante caught me. Held me against him as flames rose behind us. 1 down, he said into my hair. 7 to go. We hit 3 more locations by noon. Each one the same. Empty it, burn it, move on. Systematic destruction of his own empire. It was the most insane strategy I'd ever seen. At the 4th location, a nightclub in Chelsea, we ran into resistance. Russians. 6 of them. Waiting inside with guns drawn. Marco saw them first. Contact. Everything happened fast. Dante shoved me behind a car. Stay down. Gunfire erupted. I pressed myself against the cold metal, hands over my head like Marco had taught me. The sound was deafening. Bullets sparking off concrete, off metal, whining through the air. Someone screamed. More gunfire. Then silence. Clear, Marco called. I looked up. Dante stood in the middle of the street, gun in hand, breathing hard. 2 of the Russians were down. The others were gone, fled, or dead. I couldn't tell. He holstered his weapon, turned to me. Are you hurt? I shook my head. Good. He pulled me up. We need to move. More will come. But when I stood, I saw the blood. On his shirt, on his hands, splattered across his face. Dante, it's not mine. He wiped his face with his sleeve. Come on. By evening, we'd hit 6 of the 8 locations. Dante's phone rang constantly. Updates, threats, negotiations. He handled each call with the same cold efficiency. In the SUV between locations, he finally looked at me. You should have stayed at the house, he said. You didn't give me a choice. I should have. Why didn't you? He was quiet for a long moment. Because I'm selfish, he said finally. Because I wanted you close, even if it meant putting you in danger. That's honest, at least. Honesty is all I have left. I took his hand. It was still bloody. What happens after tonight? I asked. The Russians regroup. I rebuild. Eventually we reach a new equilibrium. And me? He looked at me. You go home. You keep saying that. Because it's true. What if I don't want to go? Mira. His voice cracked. You have to. This isn't sustainable. Today should prove that. Today proves you need someone. I need soldiers, not... He stopped. Not what? Not someone I care about getting shot because I'm too stubborn to let them go. The admission hung between us. You care about me, I said softly. Obviously. Then don't send me away. I have to. He squeezed my hand. Because caring about you makes me weak, and weakness gets people killed. Before I could respond, his phone rang again. He answered. Listened. His expression darkened. When? A pause. How many? He hung up. Looked at Marco. They hit the final 2 locations simultaneously, with our people still inside. Casualties? Unknown, but heavy, Marco cursed. Change of plans, Dante said. We're going to their headquarters. That's suicide. That's war. He checked his gun. They want to play dirty? Fine. We'll see who bleeds out first. He looked at me. I'm sorry you have to see this. Don't be. I met his eyes. Just make sure we both survive it. Something like a smile crossed his face. I'll do my best, he said. The Russian headquarters was a restaurant in Brighton Beach. Borscht and tears, according to the faded sign. But everyone knew what it really was. Command center for the Volkov family's New York operations. We parked 3 blocks away. Dante gathered his men, 12 total, including Marco and Luca. They moved with military precision, checking weapons, communication devices, body armor. You're staying in the vehicle, Dante said to me. Like hell. Mira. His eyes were hard. This isn't negotiable. What we're about to do, you can't be part of it. Why not? Because you're not a killer. And I need you to stay that way. He kissed me, hard and fast and final. Then he was gone, disappearing into the darkness with his men. I sat in the SUV, heart hammering, and waited. The first explosion shook the vehicle. I pressed against the window, saw fire blooming from the restaurant's 2nd floor. Then gunfire rapid, sustained, deafening even from 3 blocks away. The driver beside me spoke into his radio. Status? Static. Then Marco's voice. Heavy resistance. They were waiting for us. More gunfire. Another explosion. Boss is pinned, Marco continued. Northeast corner. We need. The radio went dead. The driver cursed. Started the engine. What are you doing? I asked. Getting closer. Something's wrong. We drove toward the chaos. The scene was worse up close. Bodies in the street. Windows blown out. Smoke everywhere. And still the gunfire continued from the restaurant, from the surrounding buildings, from everywhere. They had reinforcements. The driver muttered. This was a trap. Where's Dante? Unknown. Fear crystallized in my chest. I saw Marco then, dragging Luca toward cover, both bleeding. Luca wasn't moving. I have to help. You stay here, the driver said. But I was already out of the vehicle. I ran low, using cars for cover, until I reached Marco. What are you doing here? He shouted over the gunfire. Where's Dante? Inside, upper floor. Marco winced. He's not responding. Give me a gun. What? Give me a gun. You don't even know how to. Then teach me. Fast. Marco stared at me. Then, impossibly, he smiled. You're insane. So is he. Now give me a gun. He handed me a pistol. Showed me the safety, the trigger, the stance. Point, squeeze, don't jerk, he said. And for fuck's sake, don't shoot me. Then I was moving. Inside the restaurant was chaos. Smoke made it hard to see. Bodies everywhere, Russian, Italian. Impossible to tell who was winning. I kept low, kept moving, following the sound of gunfire toward the stairs. Someone grabbed my arm. I spun, raised the gun. It was Dante. He was bleeding from his shoulder, face covered in soot and blood, but alive. Alive. What are you? He saw the gun. Jesus Christ. We need to go, I said. I need to finish. You need to leave. I pulled at him. This place is going to collapse. As if to prove my point, part of the ceiling crashed down 20 feet away. Dante looked at the destruction. At me. At his gun. Okay, he said. Okay. Getting out was harder than getting in. Russians blocked the front exit. We had to go through the kitchen, out the back, into an alley filled with garbage and rats and more bodies. Dante stumbled. His shoulder was worse than I'd thought, blood soaking through his shirt. His breathing labored. I'm fine, he said before I could ask. You're not. I've had worse. That's not comforting. We made it back to the street. The SUV was gone, blown up or driven away. I couldn't tell. But Marco was there, helping Luca into another vehicle. Boss, Marco called. We need to leave. Now. Sirens in the distance. Police or fire department or both. We ran. We ended up at another safe house, this one in Queens. Smaller, darker. Someone found a first aid kit. I worked on Dante's shoulder while Marco called in their remaining men. It's bad, Marco said after hanging up. 7 dead, 4 critical, the rest scattered. And the Russians? Dante asked. His voice was strained. Worse. We took out at least 20, including Viktor Volkov. Silence. You're sure? Dante asked. I saw the body myself. Dante leaned back against the couch. Then it's over. For now. For now, Dante agreed. He looked at me. You came after me. Obviously. You could have died. So could you. But He stopped. I'm used to it. Doesn't make it better. Marco cleared his throat. I'm going to check the perimeter. He left us alone. In the bathroom, I helped Dante clean up properly. The shoulder wound was deep, but not fatal. I bandaged it as best I could, my hands shaking. You did good tonight, he said. I pointed a gun at people. But you didn't shoot anyone. He caught my hand. That matters. Does it? To me. He pulled me closer. You stayed you, even in the middle of all that. I'm not sure who me is anymore. You're Mira Chen, graphic designer, collects too many apples, somehow ended up dating a monster. You're not a monster. I killed 14 people tonight, said flatly. I burned down my own empire. I brought you into a war zone. That's monstrous. Or desperate. Those are the same thing. I touched his face, wiped blood from his cheekbone. What happens now? You go home. His voice was firm. For real, this time. I'll have Marco set you up with a new identity, a new apartment, somewhere far from here. I don't want to leave. I don't want you to leave. He closed his eyes. But tonight proved it. This life will kill you eventually. And I can't. I won't be the reason you die. What if I get a say? You don't. That's not fair. No. He opened his eyes. But it's love. The word hung between us. You love me, I whispered. Obviously. He smiled, sad and tired. Why else would I send you away? We didn't have sex that night. We just lay together on the narrow bed, his good arm around me, my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat, memorizing the feel of him. I don't want to forget this, I said. You will. His voice was rough. Eventually, I'll just be the crazy thing that happened to you one time. No, you'll be the man who kept me alive, who burned down his empire to protect people, who loved me enough to let me go. That's a better story than I deserve. It's the only story I'm keeping. He kissed the top of my head. Outside, dawn was breaking, orange light creeping across the room. When? I asked. Today. Before I change my mind. And if I refuse to go, then I'll have Marco physically carry you to the airport. But his voice cracked. Please don't make me do that. I closed my eyes. Okay, I whispered. Okay. At noon, a car arrived. Marco helped me into it. No body armor this time. No guns. Just a regular car with a regular driver going to a regular airport. Dante stood on the sidewalk watching. He looked smaller somehow. Tired. Human. I rolled down the window. Thank you, I said. For what? For choosing my life over your want. His throat worked. Mira, I love you too. In case that wasn't clear. It was clear. Good. The car started moving. I watched him until I couldn't anymore. 6 weeks later, I stood in a new apartment in Portland, staring at a new life. New name, Mira Walsh. New job, freelance designer, fully remote. New identity, clean, untraceable, boring. Marco had been thorough. The apartment was nice. Hardwood floors, big windows, a view of the city that reminded me of New York but wasn't. I'd bought apples at the store, made pasta, tried to be normal. It didn't work. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw blood. Every time I heard sirens, I tensed. Every time a delivery person knocked, I thought about elevators and guns and men who played chess with human lives. I thought about Dante. My therapist knew, paid for by Marco, no questions asked, said it was trauma. That I'd witnessed violence, been held against my will, developed Stockholm Syndrome for my captor. She wasn't completely wrong, but she also wasn't completely right. The first letter arrived in week 7. No return address. Just my new name on expensive paper, delivered to a P.O. box I'd been told to check weekly. Inside, a single sentence in dark ink. The roses in the penthouse garden are blooming. They remind me of you. D. I held it until my hands shook. The letters came weekly after that. Never long, never specific, just fragments. Rebuilt the warehouse. The new contractor asked about you. I didn't answer. Marco says you're adjusting well. I'm glad. I saw your design work online. It's beautiful. You always were. The city feels empty without you. But I'm glad you're alive to empty it. I didn't respond. Couldn't respond. He'd set it up that way, one-way communication. Safe. Clean. But I read every letter a dozen times. In week 12, my doorbell rang. I checked the peephole. Marco. I opened the door. He looked the same. Scarred. Serious. Dressed like he was ready for war. But his expression was softer than I remembered. You're alive, he said. So are you. Can I come in? I let him in. He walked through the apartment, checking corners, windows, exits, old habits. It's safe here, I said. You made sure of that. I made it as safe as possible. Nothing's truly safe. He sat at my kitchen table, accepted the coffee I offered. How is he? I asked. Dante? Yes. Marco took a long drink. Surviving. Rebuilding. The Russians backed off after Victor died. We've reached an understanding. A peaceful one. As peaceful as this world gets. And personally, Marco looked at me. He asks about you. Every day. Is she safe? Is she happy? Is she eating enough? My throat tightened. I tell him yes, Marco continued. Even when I don't know. Because he needs to believe you're okay. I am okay. Are you? I didn't answer. Marco set down his coffee. He sent me to ask you something. What? If you'd be willing to see him. Once. Just once. My heart stuttered. I don't think that's a good idea. That's what I told him. Marco's expression was unreadable. But he's not doing well, Mira. He's functional, but not good. And I think seeing you, knowing for certain you're alive and whole, it would help. Or it would make things worse. Probably. Marco stood. I'm not going to pressure you. I just promised I'd ask. He moved toward the door. Marco, I called. He turned. Tell him. I stopped. Tell him the roses in Portland are blooming too. Marco smiled. I will. I dreamed about him that night. Not the violence. Not the blood. Just him standing on the balcony, looking at the city, turning to smile at me with that rare, genuine expression. I woke up crying. I made the decision in week 16. Called the number Marco had left. Said yes. The meeting was set for neutral ground. A park in Seattle, halfway between our lives. I arrived early, sat on a bench near the water, watched families play, dogs run, normal people living normal lives. Then I saw him. Dante walked across the grass like he was made of controlled chaos. Expensive coat, dark clothes, that same careful precision. But he looked thinner, tired. The shadows under his eyes had deepened. He saw me, stopped. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Then he moved. Sat beside me on the bench, not too close, respectful of distance. Hi, he said. Hi. You look good. You look terrible. He laughed. Actually laughed. Honest as always. Someone has to be. We sat in silence. The water lapped at the shore. A dog barked somewhere. Thank you for coming, Dante said finally. Marco said you needed to see me. I needed to know you were real. He looked at me. That I didn't imagine you. That it all actually happened. It happened. Good. He took a breath. I wanted to apologize. For what? Everything. The elevator, the kidnapping, the violence. Falling in love with you when I had no right to. You didn't kidnap me. You protected me. I kept you against your will. That's kidnapping. You kept me alive. That's protection. Those aren't mutually exclusive. No, I agreed. They're not. More silence. Are you happy? He asked. I'm safe. That's not what I asked. I turned to look at him. Really look. Are you? No. Simple. Direct. I haven't been happy since you left. That's not my responsibility. I know, but it's true. A child ran past, chasing a ball. Normal, innocent, everything we weren't. I got a new job offer, I said. In Seattle. Good pay, good benefits. Are you taking it? I don't know. It would mean staying in the area. Closer to Portland. Yes. He turned to me. Is that what you want? I stopped. I don't know what I want anymore. Before you, I had a plan. A boring, safe, normal plan. Now everything's complicated. I can make it simple. He shifted to face me fully. I'm rebuilding the empire, but differently. More legitimate. Less violence. It'll take years, but I'm trying. Why? Because you made me remember what it's like to be human. He reached out, didn't quite touch my hand, and I want to be someone worthy of that reminder. Dante, I'm not asking you to come back. I'm not asking for anything. His voice was steady. I just wanted you to know that you changed me. That those weeks mattered, that you matter. I looked at his hand. So close to mine, I could walk away. Take the job in Seattle. Build a new life. Forget about elevators and blood and men who played dangerous games. Or, I took his hand. His fingers closed around mine. Warm, solid, real. I don't forgive you for everything, I said. I don't expect you to. And I can't promise I can live in your world. I wouldn't ask you to. But I'm not ready to say goodbye. His grip tightened. Neither am I. We didn't kiss. Didn't make grand declarations. Just sat there holding hands while the world moved around us. Eventually, we'd have to figure out what this meant. How a graphic designer and a mafia boss built something real. Whether love could survive in the space between violence and normalcy. But for now, this was enough. His hand in mine. The water lapping at the shore. The possibility of tomorrow. Epilogue. 1 year later, I stood in a new penthouse. Not Dante's. Ours. Separate from his operations. Clean. Legal. A space that was just for us. He was in the kitchen making dinner, actually cooking, not ordering in. He'd kept that promise too. Less violence. More legitimate business. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Marco had been right about one thing. Loving someone in this world was dangerous. But I'd learned something too. Not loving them was worse. Mira, Dante called. The pasta's ready. I joined him in the kitchen. He kissed me soft, Familiar, home. Outside the windows, the city glittered. And for the first time in a year, I didn't think about elevators, or blood, or fear. I just thought about him, about us, about the life we were building in the spaces between darkness and light. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours, and that was enough.